everyone, welcome back to another Exo Heroes video. Today we're going to be going over the 2.3 update patch notes, and with this new patch we're going to get the new story chapter 14 along with a bunch of quality of life and gameplay updates. If you enjoyed, at the end please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And before we get started, I want to mention we've put out a video on the chapter 14 director's notes earlier, and that video covers a lot of the same points they talk about in these patch notes. So if there's any overlap, we're going to go over those changes very quickly to keep this video as short as possible so we could focus on the new content and information that's been provided here. With that being said, let's get started. So first things first, we have the new story chapter 14 update, the all-out war that divided Brune. Zeon eventually decided to cooperate with Mahar in order to survive, but then he gets to face the hidden truth of the civil war and a powerful enemy who stands against him. Okay, so the important takeaway from this is that chapter 14 is going to be the finale of season 2, and this is going to be the last chapter we get to close out Brune and move into St. West. Along with chapter 14, the difficulty of chapters 11, 12, and 13 and their missions will be adjusted so that users can enjoy the new story a lot easier. And this is going to be great for new players. For players who have already cleared this content, it might be a better time to go back now and get the 3-star clears if you weren't able to the first time, to pick up that extra zest. Okay, so moving on to the next change, we have a new Fate Core coming in, and that's going to be Artist of Death Shell. So let's go take a look at her art here first. I think they nailed it. In my opinion, this is probably some of the best art Exo Heroes has ever come out with. If you remember in the chapter 14 director's notes, they said the theme of this Fate Core line was to move in a more mature direction, and they absolutely nailed it with Shell. She looks a lot more mature, a lot more elegant, and if she looks this good, I cannot wait to see what the other Fate Cores in this line look like. I believe right now there's Chatty and Corgi, so I'm very excited to see those because Shell is just blowing me away right now. But as good as the art is, let's go ahead and talk about her skills. So it looks like right here she's going to be a gold rated Fate Core, which I think a lot of us predicted. Moving down into the passive, she keeps Cleanse 3, which we all know about, but she gets the Dimensional Leap mark. And now this, I think, is going to be the passive that is consistent across everybody in this Fate Core, so everyone who is part of this Fate Core line will have Dimensional Leap. What it does is it increases dodge for self by 40 and attack by 1000 when attacked. All Dimensional Leap marks on self are removed after a successful dodge, and this stacks up to 4 times. There's the Night Carnival passive, which is an overtime effect that increases critical hit of all allies by 100%. And Puppet Show is a mark that activates on charmed enemies, so you need to mark with Charm in order to mark with Puppet Show. And then when an enemy marked with Puppet Show dies, it reduces the block of all enemies by 25%, and this stacks up to 4 times. So for the purposes of this video, we're just going to go over the skills and the changes as they're outlined here. For more in-depth analysis and discussion, we're going to be making a separate video later, just talking about FC Shell and how we think she's going to work. So for now, let's just move on and cover the skills. Her first active requires 2 mana and deals 127% damage to all enemies. There's a debuff that decreases the attack of all enemies afflicted with Charm by 50% when the attack hits. There's also a special effect where if any of the targets are already charmed, removes barrier from all charmed targets and afflicts nullify barrier for 10 turns. Then you have Hallucinate that reduces hit by 30 for 4 turns by afflicting the target with the Hallucinate mark if the target is charmed. Her second active requires 2 mana as well, increases attack of a single ally except the caster by 25% of own attack for 7 turns. We believe this to mean Shell's attack and not the attack of the target. It removes all status effects from the target and gives the target 3 mana as well. There's also status effect immunity one time applied onto the target, and it resets that target's turn once per round. So overall, even without going into in-depth analysis here, I think most people can tell if you have Jinai, Shell is going to be absolutely busted. Her kit seems overloaded with utility, both in terms of buffing, debuffing, giving mana, removing status effects. I mean, as a support, she basically has it all right now. This is going to be a must pull for me just based off of her art, but as we mentioned before, we are going to release a more in-depth video guide on Shell, so look forward to that. So like all gold rated Fate Cores, she's going to have a 28 pull Pity, and bring with her a new exclusive weapon, which is the Black Mephisto. Enough about FC Shell, let's move on to the next update, which is something else that I'm very excited about, and that's Eternal Bond. So this is a new system where you can obtain fated heroes, and I believe they said Fate Cores will also be included in this list. And if this image is anything to go off of, what's going to happen is you're going to log in when the patch is over, and be presented with this Eternal Bond screen. So right now there's 2 options, Schmidt or Jinai, And so if you log in consecutively for 30 days, you will get whichever hero you selected at the start. But if you forget to log in for a day, you can recover the bond by using a certain amount of zest. Once you've formed a bond, you may not change the target until the next day. So if tomorrow you choose Jinai and then you decide later, oh, I actually wanted Schmidt, then you can change to Schmidt, but I believe that's going to reset your 30-day commitment. Eternal Bond unlocks after clearing the main story, Chapter 1, Stage 2, so this should be available for basically everybody. And it looks like right here, yes, in the first bond period you can choose from either Schmidt or Jinai, and the Fate cores are not included in this set. Ultimately, I think this is a really great way for people to get free generals. It's a really great way for Line to introduce a sort of catch-up mechanic. And honestly, 1 general a month, it doesn't sound too overpowered, but it's also something that I think a lot of players will be able to benefit from, especially if you're close to certain signature force breakpoints. I think this is going to be another great addition, as well as giving players the opportunity to get some heroes that they've been unlucky with. So overall, I really like this change. Moving on to the next change, and that's going to be the Unleash Potential update. So this is something that they mentioned in the Chapter 14 Director's Notes as well, and the reason why they're updating this system is because not enough people were using it. First of all, it didn't work with Fated heroes and it didn't work with Fate cores, which is really what most of the meta is. And so they decided to revamp it, and now it works for both Fated heroes and Fate cores. But the new information here is that the higher stages of Unleash Potential, which we believe to mean the stages where it works with Fate cores and it works with Fated heroes, require a new material, and that's the Ultimate Orb. And Ultimate Orbs can be obtained from monthly season missions, Exos Pass, and content shops. So this change is something I think a lot of us saw coming. Unleash Potential was definitely a mechanic that a lot of us were excited for, and then it kind of felt lackluster when they actually implemented it. So I think that this change is going to bring it back and sort of introduce this new mechanic to increase the power of your team and your units. But as always, it's going to be gated behind this new material, which is the Ultimate Orb, and currently we have no idea how expensive it's going to be or how hard this is going to be to get. So for now, let's assume it's going to be pretty hard to get Unleash Potential for Fate cores and Fated heroes, but it'll probably be worth it. So the next update here is going to be PvP content improvement, and this improvement can be broken down into 2 main pieces. The first is penalty damage, and the second is increased turn timers. So talking about penalty damage first, the way this works is after 20 total turns is when it starts to kick in, and all surviving heroes will take 25% of their max health in true damage. So this is damage that ignores invincibility, immunity, and barrier, and it hits straight into your health. Then after 23 turns, they take that damage again as 50% max health, and then 75 to 100% at 29 turns. Now, we're not exactly sure how this works because there is a stage 5 and beyond, where you're going to be taking 125% of your max health in true damage, and there really shouldn't be a need for that if this system is working the way we imagine it to. If you understand this system works in a different way, please let us know in the comments because we're a little bit confused about this right now. Beyond this change, there's also turn timers, where currently they're 15 seconds and they're going to get a 5-second buff up to 20 seconds. And they say this is to improve the strategic play by allowing players to check hero buffs and debuff status, along with trying to come up with different strategies to counter different teams. I think this is a great change, and although 5 seconds seems small, I think that it's actually going to make a pretty big difference. The next update we have here is the Air Squadron Support. So the way this works is Air Squadron members are going to select certain materials and call in a request once a day. And as you can see in the picture here, you have somebody who is requesting a memory of Rudley, and I believe they start out only being able to request hero memories, which I'm not sure why they went with that. I think it would make a lot more sense to request more basic materials like experience books or abrasives, but this is the example they went with, and other members will be able to select the quantity of material they want to support and then send it to your mailbox. This, along with Air Squadron Hideout, I think is Line trying to push a more guild-focused style gameplay and just allow players to build stronger communities. Moving on, we have Time Walker theme added to core memory. So this seems to be that new line of Fate cores. As you can see here, we have Shell, Corgi, and Chatty in this circle here. Chatty and Corgi are going to be black Fate cores, as we can see, and Shell is going to be coming out soon, so we can look forward to that. There's also a Lucky Box update, and the way this works is it's hidden in the shop, but not Hoan's Lucky Shop or Yorm's Exchange. This is hidden in the cash shop. It's obviously a way to incentivize players to open up the cash shop so they're tempted, oh, maybe I should buy this zest, maybe I should buy these packages. But a freebie is a freebie, so you'll find me going to the shop picking up a Lucky Box every day to get those extra rewards. There's also this mini event here where it seems like they're giving Liffy's gift boxes away. So there's 7 days for newcomers, and you can see the prizes here: 100 Zest, some experience, some growth packages, gold, Zest, golden clocks, and then some holy waters. So this is going to be great for those new players that are starting out, and there are some other changes later down that are also going to benefit the new players. But they didn't forget about the vets. So if you're someone who has stopped playing for a while and come back, if you haven't cleared Chapter 10 Stage 12, then you'll also get Liffy's gift for 7 days, but with slightly different prizes. You'll get a little bit more Zest, and then this time a Fated Hero Selection ticket and a Fated Hero Recruit ticket, along with some Fated Armor and gold. And if you're somebody who's coming back to the game and you have cleared Chapter 10 Stage 12, then you're going to get significantly more Zest and again a little variation in the prizes that you're receiving here. So this is a great catch-up mechanic if you've been away from the game for a while to just sort of jumpstart your return. Along with that, there's these convenience improvement updates, which we've covered a lot of in the Chapter 14 Director's Notes. There's going to be automatic daily quests where you can press a button and they'll run all of the daily quests for you. And then there's also dispatch report. So essentially what this change is saying is now in the airship, world, and village, you're going to be able to check your dispatch status to see if it's been completed, confirm, and then claim the rewards, and then send them out again. This is not that big of a change, it's really just the dispatch menu accessible in all 3 areas, so you don't always have to go back to airship. Here is another change that we think is going to be very good for new players, and that's the daily challenge content stage merge. So the way this works is, as you can see from the picture here, they removed the earlier stages for Sanctum content. And now the merge dungeon will require the open condition of former easy difficulty, as well as battle balance, but the reward will be given as former hard difficulty. This is just a nice way to get new players a jump start and a little progress accelerator very early on to allow them to catch up through all of that early game content and get to post Chapter 10, where most of the active players are right now. Beyond that, there's Manage Heroes changes, which we talked about this before and I'm not a huge fan of it. As you can see here, someone is trying to transcend their Bernadette, and some of the Bernadettes that are showing up are locked. So the way this works is now you can consume locked heroes, but you get a message asking you to confirm or deny when you select one, and you can also transcend multiple heroes at once. Transcending multiple heroes at the same time I think is a great change, but being able to consume locked heroes just doesn't sit right with me. You went out of your way to lock them for a reason, and then now they're completely invalidating that and just replacing it with another confirmation sign, which in a menu like this, somebody could be distracted or not thinking, and then they just click yes, and all of a sudden you've lost, like this guy has here, his level 100 Bernadette, and that would be absolutely tragic. So I'm not a huge fan of this change. Overall, I think that there are some nice quality of life things tied into the Manage Hero changes, but ultimately locking heroes is not one of them. They've also included some inventory changes that I like, such as equipped weapons and armor are now going to be excluded from the inventory, so they won't clog up all that space, and there's also a ranked equipment filter that's added to the select all function for disassembling equipment. This was something that you could have already done within the filter menu, but now they've made it a little bit more convenient. Beyond that, some shop catalog improvements. This is really not something that we need to go over. Air Squadron donation function change, world content improvement. The Grave Robber has added random elemental stones. Not entirely sure what that means. And when his brakes are active, there's a 100% chance of being hit. I have no idea what the brakes are. Does that mean just running into him so you have a 100% chance of hitting him all the time? In which case, everyone would be able to clear it, which is great, because this can definitely be frustrating for players who don't have FC Gale yet. But right now, the way this is worded is kind of confusing to me. We'll ignore the Grave Robber for now. They've also added Dragon Relics and Stars of Fate to the Golem and Ancient Totem, which I like. I think before most people didn't really bother doing Golem or Ancient Totem, because you could just set your game to auto-explore and it would do essentially the same thing. But now there's actually a little bit of an incentive to get Stars of Fate and Relics outside of Dragon, so maybe this will push more players to do this. And yeah, I mean, just looking at the rest of these changes, it's really small quality of life things just all throughout. I mean, there's a mailbox improvement. In the past, you can only see 99 mail total, but now you see 99 mail for each category. This is definitely something that was a big problem. I know that personally I had this issue as well, where I had too many Levy Stones saved up, and then I was not able to see a General Selector ticket or a Fate Core Selector ticket, and it caused me to freak out, and I know that other people have had this issue as well, so hopefully this should help fix that. We're going to come into the period of the last Air Squadron battle, and from what it looks like here, the buff targets seem pretty terrible. I don't think anyone's going to be running Liffy or Kaya in their teams. Same thing with Teria or Sepher. If you want to run something off meta, for sure this could be helpful, but otherwise these buff targets look like they're going to be largely ignored. Okay, so here's something new. The monthly season missions are going to change, and it looks like for 3 of the missions, Succeed Fate Core Enhancement, you'll get Random Hero Memory times 20, Complete Equipment Enhanced, you'll get Ultimate Orb times 3, and Complete Equipment Awaken, you'll get Ultimate Orb times 3. So this is already one of the ways that we can see how to get those Ultimate Orbs for the new Unleashed Potential, so I think it's nice they're giving it to us this way. Now the change to Succeeding Fate Core Enhancement Random Hero Memory times 20, I don't really like that, because I'm not sure if random means totally completely random, or random from a solid set of hero memories that people would actually want. If it's hero memories for random 3-star units, then I think this is a huge nerf and not something people are going to be happy about, but if it's random hero memory for faded heroes, this might be a little bit better. That about brings us to the end of these patch notes. I'm going to keep scrolling down here just so you guys can see on video what else there is. Nothing really worth talking about here. It's a lot of Exos Pass stuff, some cumulative payment events, and very small bug fixes and updates. So that concludes our 2.3 update patch notes rundown. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. More Exo Heroes and Genshin Impact content on the way. We hope you'll stick around for that, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.